What's going on, everybody? Welcome to episode 10 of the Creator Series here on the Proven Knowledge Podcast. Today I welcomed a Boston, Massachusetts native named Yelena Rodriguez. She's a singer-songwriter, and today we talked about a lot of great stuff. We talked about some of her biggest influences in music and life, one of them being the late, great Selena. She talked about how important she was as a creative and kind of how Selena helped inspire her music and kind of helped give her confidence to pursue a career in the creative field. We talked about the importance of time management and kind of like keeping a planner and keeping notes written down and how that helps you on the day-to-day and the importance of all that. And we talked about as well the importance of ownership too, the importance of how it is to have kind of all the responsibility of the day-to-day tasks that you have as an artist, but kind of the benefits that has as well with being able to own all the rights to your music, and how at the end of the day you're going to be able to learn new skills that are going to help you down the line, so eventually maybe you can get a manager or like a label situation or whatever. So let's get into this episode today. Okay, welcome everyone to episode 10 here on the Creator Series of the Proven Knowledge Podcast. And today we have a guest out of Boston, Massachusetts. Her name is Yelena Rodriguez. How are you doing today?
I'm doing great. How are you?
I'm doing great. Yep. And I appreciate you getting back with me about being on the show today and everything and staying in contact. And I was looking forward to getting you on here today, so it's great to see that you're doing well. I pretty much start off every episode with just asking to give a little bit of info about yourself for kind of the listeners who don't know you and kind of just want to know more about you.
Okay, perfect. Yeah, so my name is Yelena, or Yelena. I am a singer, songwriter, model, anti-human trafficking activist, and naturalist. I'm really big on natural hair. I was born in Boston. I grew up in Coral, Florida. I moved back to Boston when I was like in middle school, and I've been living in Boston ever since then. And I'm also Cuban and Dominican. Yeah.
Right. So how long have you been doing music?
I've been doing music, so I've been singing since I was 7 or 8 years old, performing since I was 15, and then I've been doing music, I would say, since last year of September of last year.
So do you think, just starting at a young age, do you think that kind of like helped you to where now you can be an artist? Do you feel like that was kind of helpful in a way?
Yeah, I would say. I feel like when I was younger, I knew that I loved the music, but and I loved to sing and I loved to like perform and stuff, but I wasn't really sure if it was something I really wanted to pursue. But I did see myself like eventually doing it. It was always in the back of my mind. But the thing was, when I was younger, I had a fear of singing in front of people. I had stage fright. Once I conquered, that fear when I was like 15 years old, that's when I realized that, okay, yeah, I definitely want to perform more. I want to sing more. I want to become an artist. So, yeah.
I know, because I've kind of asked that to a lot of people that have told me kind of a similar thing, is where they started at a young age and they kind of, they might not have taken it seriously at a young age because, you don't have a lot of patience and you don't have a lot of like, I don't know, just you don't have like a passion for it at that time. You're more worried about doing like kid stuff and you just want to be a kid, you know what I mean? Like, it takes a lot of dedication to kind of sit there and like go through it at that age. And like for me, I don't know if I've said this on another episode, but for me, like I used to take like guitar lessons and like do that kind of thing, and I didn't take it seriously at all. Like I went to a few lessons and just completely stopped because it didn't interest me or anything. And I didn't end up getting back into music until like 10 years down the line, when I actually was more mature and could take it seriously and whatnot. So it's kind of interesting to hear that from people, and kind of like what you just said about how like it didn't really help you entirely, but you definitely had like a kind of like an awareness of how to be an artist just from what you already knew back then. It's kind of like in your brain already, and you didn't even know it really.
Yeah.
So.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, I can definitely say like I felt like when I was younger, I was doing so much. Like honestly, like I was dancing, I was acting, I was doing modeling, I was doing so much at the time. And like I said, when I was younger, I did have stage fright. So I think that's why I didn't really take singing seriously, but I knew like I was told by other people that I was really good at it and that I should like keep keep practicing, which I did because I was when I was younger, the age of like let's say like 9 up until I was in high school, I was part of choirs and everything, and that's where my training, like my vocal like training, came into play and stuff, and that's how I learned how to like perform and all that kind of stuff. But yeah, like as a kid, like you're not gonna take it seriously unless your parents make you take it seriously. I feel like my parents really like tell me like, oh, you need to like. They did tell me like I should be dedicated to it, but they were just like, she's a kid, like she wants to do so much. She wants to learn how to play guitar. She wants to learn how to play piano. She wants to do this, wants to do that. Yeah.
I know, and like too, like when you're a kid, you don't especially with the singing thing, like your voice isn't even mature yet. Like your voice is gonna change. So like, there's a lot of kid singers that are great when they're kids, and then when they grow up, their voice changes, and they're not the same as like when they were, doing it as a child. So it's kind of just like kind of growing and maturing into finding out what you want to do, especially in like the arts and music and things like that. So I think that's just
Exactly.
something everybody kind of goes through at one point. Um, a follow up question that I've kind of been starting every episode out with is just I know 2020 has been kind of a much different year from years that a lot of us have been used to in a lot of different ways. So, what do you think you've been doing to kind of maintain kind of sanity, or just have you been doing anything different to kind of help you get through the times we're in? Because I know it's been challenging for a lot of people. So.
Honestly, during the pandemic, I really was trying to stay productive as much as I could, like whether it was working on my music, like writing and stuff. Luckily, I was still able to go to the studio. I know for some artists they weren't able to, but luckily I was still able to, so I was able to like work on my music and stuff, release music during the pandemic. But I would say to stay sane, just to kind of like keep myself from like not going crazy. I was just kind of working on like myself. I would say like self care came into play a lot during the pandemic, and I was just learning more about myself and also like figuring out like okay, me as a person, or let's say me as an artist. Like I kind of realized that there's certain things that I want to do as an artist. For example, like I want to really speak to others about how important self-care is, how important it is to personally develop yourself as a person, but also as an artist. And because me as a person, I do a lot of personal development. Like I'll read different books, whether it's about leadership, whether it's about, being confident, how to master your emotions, etc. That's something that I really do. And I feel like that really helps me stay sane, especially during the pandemic. So I was doing that a lot. And another thing I was doing too was just checking up on people, like talking to other people, especially other creatives like myself, like, just asking, like, how are you doing? Like, have you not been productive, during this pandemic? Been feeling like you've been productive? Have you been working on your craft? Like, are you planning out for what you want to do once the pandemic ends, or et cetera, and gets better? So yeah.
Nice, because I know like a lot of people. I know they were kind of like in a rut. It felt like they were either depressed or they kind of felt just alone because they were telling everybody you have to be in your house and you can't really see anybody that isn't in your immediate family and things like that. So, like what you said, like you were trying to push like a positive narrative of like trying to help people out and kind of like uh, spread the awareness of like mental health and things like that and just kind of uplift people. I think that's what we need to do for ourselves and for others as much as possible just because it's so important. And a lot of people don't like think about themselves like that. They always kind of look out for others, and like it's important to look out for yourself as well because if you're not looking out for yourself, you can't look out for others at all. Like you need to always make sure that you're feeling the best kind of physically and emotionally just to be able to stay sane every day and just be your best self. So I think that's never been more important than now, in my opinion. So,
Yeah.
but that's great to hear. You were mentioning you've been going to the studio and everything. Do you have people that kind of help you out with like really anything you do creatively and as far as music goes? Do you have like an engineer, like a personal engineer? Do you have producers? Who are you working with, kind of overall, to kind of build your sound and your music? You think?
So I do have like a producer that I work with. I was recommended to him by like two friends of mine who are also artists and have been doing music much more longer than I have, and he's definitely someone that I go to, etc. I don't really have like a personal engineer, but I definitely the producer I work with, I consider him kind of like a go-to producer and stuff. I actually, during the pandemic, I was a lot of people reaching out to me and like including producers too. So, but I definitely like the person that I have now. He's definitely my go-to. Like he helps me out a lot when it comes to like my sound, figuring out like what I want to do, like when it comes to certain songs, etc. Helps me out a lot too when it comes to vocals as well too. I feel like that's like really important, especially being a singer. Like manage, how to control your voice and stuff, especially when you're in the studio, of course.
Mm.
So yeah.
I know it's good to have kind of people close to you, like you just said, producer. Like you have your own kind of personal producer that's kind of figuring out your sound and everything, and that's kind of a good way to build kind of an identity as an artist. I feel like is they're going to be able to kind of know what you want and vice versa, and
Yeah.
you can kind of just work together, and it's a lot easier to do. I know with my artists, we've been working together now for like 3 years. We've known each other for a long time, but we've been working
Nice.
together for around 3 years now, and I kind of just tend to know his preferences, and I think vice versa. Like he kind of knows what I'm going to bring to the table for him at certain times, and we're always trying to do like new things and kind of build that way. So I think
Okay.
that's always like a good thing if you can have someone kind of close to you in the music realm that is going to help you build your sound and your identity. So that's great to hear
Yeah.
you have that. So far, as far I know, you said you've only been kind of doing the artist thing a little bit of time here. What do you think has been
Mhm.
the best piece of advice you've been given as far as how to pursue a career in music?
I feel like I've been giving a lot of advices. But the one that sticks out to me the most is just like, just um, like I guess you could say just be you.
Mm,
Like I'm always told all the time, like how important it is, to be unique, how to, like, reinvent yourself, how to figure out what's your sound, like do other sounds that you probably wouldn't be comfortable. How important it is to get out of your comfort zone is like the biggest thing, and just and the biggest one I feel like I always think about it, um, that I've been told by people is just that it's important to always stick to what you want to do, because I feel like it's nice when people give you advice and everything, especially when you're just starting out. But I feel like at the end of the day, if you know yourself what you want to do as an artist, if you know what your purpose is and how the kind of artist that you want to become, you don't really need to listen what others are telling you.
mm,
You can take what they're saying into consideration, but if you already know what you want to do, then you're fine.
mm-hmm,
And I feel like that's something I've had to like kind of tell myself, especially during this time too, like being at home, like during this pandemic, like I just realized, like I was taking so much advice from so many people, and I'm like, hold up, I already know what I want to do as an artist, like I already know how I want my music to sound. I already know the kind of artist that I want to become, someday, and I already know how I want people to know me as, so I'm
mm-hmm.
fine. Like I'm fine. I'll take your advice into consideration, but I'm gonna keep doing what I was gonna do, and and just kind of
Mm. I think too, like sometimes you can actually take a little too much advice from all these sources, and you end up kind of forgetting why what you were even trying to do for yourself in the first place. Like after all, you are the artist at the end of the day, so like you should have like the goals kind of all mapped out beforehand anyway. And like you said, it's kind of good to take things like into consideration and kind of get a different like perspective. But at the end of the day, you have to be able to carry out your vision for what you want to do. So
exactly.
yeah, I think that's something that I feel like a lot of people would probably lose sight of, especially if they have like way too many people around them, and especially people that either don't know what they're doing or they don't really have your best interests. Like that might not be the best people to have around anyway. So it kind of all depends on who it is and like what the situation is to me. But
Yep.
yeah.
Exactly. I totally agree.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Next question I got for you is or not really what, but who do you think your biggest inspirations have been so far in life or in music that have kind of influenced you creatively?
Okay. Um, the one person I would say that has always inspired me in life and in music too is Selena.
Mm.
Um,
Rest in
and not
peace.
go. Yeah, Selena, the
Mm.
one. Yeah, she died in the 90s. Yeah, she's honestly the reason why I love music. I love um, everything about it, like singing, like the performing aspect of it, like like he literally. I learned about her when I was about 7 years old, so this is when I started singing and kind of like pretty much finding out that that I loved to sing and stuff, and that I was a good singer. And she really like there's I don't know, there's so much I can say, but she really just me being as a Latina, I feel like growing up I didn't really see a lot of people that looked like me, and even though that Selena, she's Mexican, me and her are not like the same like ethnicity, but either way, I can relate to her so much because the way she carried herself, the way that she just performed, like it was just, she was so confident. She really was like the pure example of someone who, doesn't beat themselves down if they're not perfect. You know, just keeps, learning things, just keeps doing, if they fail, keep doing it. Like she literally, you know, inspires me to be the best version of myself. And like when it being artist wise, like I would say she really does inspire me to to impact people. Like I feel like as an artist and even as a person, I would say you at the end of the day, like we are in this world for a reason. There's a reason why you're alive, you're in this world. And I feel like the biggest reason that is because you're here to impact people. Some way, somehow, you're here to make some type of impact. And Selena, like growing up, like as I was learning more about her, like I learned like why people loved her so much and why she impacted so many lives. And she really, and that's like the biggest thing that she inspires me is to become that person that will impact lives, that will I guess you could say change people's lives too, but also just teach people how to become a better version of themselves and teach people how to feel powerful in whatever they do and to find their purpose. And that's really the reason why like I look up to her so much. And even to this day I still look up to her. Like there's so many other artists that inspire me, I would say. But she's always gonna be the number one person that will inspire me.
Mm.
So yeah.
And I think like you kind of just like nailed it on the head there. Is like as kids, like we look up to the artists that we look up to for like a certain reason. Like you relate to them and you like understand the message and what they're saying, and you kind of get it on a personal level, even though you don't know them as a person. And then
Right.
like when we become like creatives now, like now it's our job kind of to hopefully do that for someone else, because that's like the whole goal in mind is just to help somebody else that we don't know, and hopefully then the kind of cycle continues. And that's like usually to me like cycles and like trends aren't good, but that's like something that is good, is the positivity and like spreading a good message to people and just keeping kind of the love going and everything. And that's like,
Exactly.
and that's why I think like you mentioned Selena, like she's like an artist that a lot of people relate to because of like the message in her music and everything, and just like her overall style and the impact that she left before she was killed. And it was such a tragic death and everything. And I feel like a lot of people um, kind of underestimate like the impact that she had and that a lot of other people kind of similar to her have had. And it's just so unfortunate that some people that are just such great performers are taken too soon and everything. But I think the real important thing is that what can you do while you're here, and who can you impact while you're here, because we really don't know like how long we have to do it. So I think it's just about kind of every day having the mission that you just talked about, which is just like hopefully we can leave a positive impact and just help somebody, even if we don't know who that person is. So.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Like I just feel like at the end of the day, like Selena, she left a legacy behind, and that's what I want at the end of the day. Like, and that's why I try to work on myself constantly. I try to learn from others, learn from their mistakes, and just continue to learn how I can become the best version of myself. And and my goal is to leave a legacy behind, to impact others, and to because there's been times where I've had people reach out to me and say like, "Wow, you inspire me to do this or to do that, go after dreams," and it just and I love that because I feel like at the end of the day, like yeah, like go after what you want to do, like go after your dreams, go after your purpose, like because me being as an artist, like there was a point where I felt hesitant to tell people that yeah, my dream is an international performing artist, because in reality, society, as we were told that you like being an artist or like that kind of area, that's not something, it's not realistic,
Mm.
so so yeah.
And I think that's always good too to hear the feedback from people and like total strangers just DMing you and being like, "You really helped me out today," or "You really helped me with this, this, and this." Like that's what it's all about too, right there. So,
Mm-hmm.
so you mentioned Selena, obviously. Do you have anybody else that you'd say would be kind of like a dream collaboration or someone that you would hopefully one day want to work with?
I would say as of right now, Rihanna is like one person I would want to work with. If it's not musically, but like business wise, or even if she could be like my mentor, that would be like awesome.
Mm.
I'm inspired by her a lot because I feel like she's someone who is just very confident. She's a very strong businesswoman. She's done so much and impacted so many people and helped out so many people, and she's literally like she's amazing. That's how I could put it. Like Rihanna is, despite being an artist, like as a person, I feel like she's very influential.
Mm.
So
Yeah, she definitely has like a huge impact. Like even just from the music realm, like you see how long like people wait on her album, and like they're right now they're waiting on the new album. And I remember the her last album was such like high in demand, and like so many people were waiting and kind of craving for it and everything. So that would definitely be
exactly.
an interesting collab though between you two. I feel like the sounds would kind of be interesting there. Um,
Mm.
what do you think as far as like collaborating goes? I don't know how many people you've done songs with or worked with so far, but what do you think out of collaboration is your favorite part about working with someone else?
Um, that's something actually I'm like working on right now is like learning, like collabing with like other artists, and honestly, I it's interesting. Honestly, like I see why some people are hesitant to do it because it's like you're collabing with another person, you may butt head, may not like have the same mindsets, but I've only worked so far with three artists, um and the three of them are guys, and I feel like I've definitely learned a lot from them. I feel like when you're collabing with someone, you definitely learn something new from them, especially if you're collabing with someone who has much more experience than you. Then it's even better because it's like, they're obviously going to give advice on certain things, and you both have like similar goals, similar dreams. You're going after the same thing, and it's just like amazing because it's like you're the way I look at it as you're masterminding. Like, okay, what can we do for us to get to the top or to get to where we want to be? And so I feel like that's what I've been getting a lot from like collabing with people is just like getting like new ideas, getting advice on certain things and just like mastermind,
Hmm.
you know, as artists.
I think that is probably the most important thing is just like being able to be on kind of the same like frequency as someone else, and you kind of know
Mm-hmm.
what they're thinking and kind of vice versa, because that is how the best like music is going to come out, is just from that. And like I know like for me just being a producer and having like I'm trying to work with all these people and do all this stuff, like sometimes I'll reach out to people and it might not be like exactly how I thought it would be, or like we might try and work together and it might not come out the way I envisioned. But I think it's not just like it can't really be like a one-sided thing. Like it really has to work on both ends, and you have to be able to bring something to the table from both sides and just see what can happen. And like sometimes it might not even be timing with some people. Like sometimes it might not be the right day, and I feel like you might have to like come back later and try to work with that person at another time, and maybe you never know. Like some great song could come out of that. So I think it's just depending on like the circumstances and kind of who you're working with and what you're trying to do is kind of the goal. But um,
Hmm.
How
I agree.
how important do you think time management has been for you so far, as being a creative and kind of balancing all of that with your personal life and your family and everything else you got going on?
Honestly, that's something that I'm like trying to figure out right now.
Mm.
Time management, I feel like, is just one of those things where it's, as an artist, is really important. For me personally, um, so I'm also working too. Like I work full time, and then I pretty much, once I'm done with work, then that's when I have the time to focus on my music or focus anything relating to it. And it's been going good so far, but it's definitely can be difficult at times because sometimes my parents want me to do something and I can't because I have to meet with someone. Like I have to go to the studio, or I have to meet with someone in regards to music, whether it's another artist, or meeting with someone to help me with a video that was great. So
Mm-hmm.
sometimes it really can be difficult for me, at least I would say, to make time for my parents, friends. Not really, but sometimes there are times where I've had to cancel on a friend because I've had to pretty much focus on my music, or I had to meet with someone. And to be honest, I just, when it comes to my music and everything, that honestly first.
Mm.
So it's sometimes you have to make certain sacrifices, but definitely with the time management, I would say it kind of, as long as you're keeping yourself organized, and because me, I use a calendar. I'm always using my phone when it
Mm.
comes to scheduling and everything. I have another calendar in my room that I use too, and I'm always writing down okay, I have this to do on this day. I have to meet with this person on this day. So that's, I feel like, because I do that, that helps me. But sometimes it can just be hard because it's as people want your time, you can't
Mm.
give it to them. So
I know for me, like a couple years ago, I was doing more research on like the time management aspect and things like that. And I remember hearing from a lot of people how important it was to write things down on paper and like schedule it out, like you said. And I honestly thought that was BS at first. I was like, well, that's not going to do anything. If I'm going to write it down, like I'm not even going to check it. But then when
right.
I started like utilizing the notes app on my phone, and now I've
Oh
done
yeah.
that every single week, and that's how I plan out, like especially with my social media and like how I run that. Like I plan out every single day, and then I reset it at the end of the week, and that's like how I actually know that I'm doing what I need to do and everything. So it actually does work if you continue it and like put it into play and everything. And like I had an artist a couple weeks ago, and she said she has like a planner that she actually writes it all down on paper and everything, and like so like it could be in your phone or it could be on like paper or anything that's gonna kind of help you remember what you need to do, or a calendar or anything. Um,
Yeah.
but
Yeah. Whatever.
yeah, but like also I think it's just about like self discipline and kind of just keeping yourself in check too. And like you said, music is kind of like at the top, and like it's not to say anything else is less important. It's just like you have to make sure you're getting done what you need to get done as far as what's important to you and kind of what you're trying to
Exactly.
do and where you're headed and everything. So it can definitely be a struggle, but I think as long as you have a plan in place, it's going to be a lot better for you. So
Yeah. Exactly.
yeah. So you brought up modeling earlier, and I've seen like your Instagram that you have a bunch of modeling gigs and everything. I was gonna ask kind of how do you think modeling has helped your creative side, and how do you think that has helped your music as well? Like, is it kind of another outlet for you, or does it help with other things in your life, or if you kind of get what I'm saying?
Yeah, I get what you're saying. Well, modeling, I would say, from what I've been told from multiple people, they're like, "Oh, you model too and sing, perfect. Like you're good. Like people are gonna love that."
Mm.
And I guess I was just like, "Okay, I guess." But I would say modeling definitely, it's another love of mine. I guess you could say modeling is just the one thing that helped me kind of embrace my confidence, embrace my beauty, and that's why I've stuck with it. But now that I do that I'm pursuing music and stuff and going full force with it, It definitely helps people see like another side of me, I guess you could say.
Mm.
Um, and it just helps people like it makes people realize like, like, oh, okay, she not only she's a singer, but like she models, and this is how she models, and this is the type of modeling that she does, and yeah, like yeah. So I would say like modeling for me is it's another like outlet, but it's definitely something that I definitely take seriously, just like I do with music.
Mm.
Because I've been doing it for like I mentioned before, like I've been modeling. I would say since I was like a kid, and I was doing it a lot more when I was in middle school, and then I went back to it when I was a sophomore in college, and then from there I've just been like modeling, and I've been like I've done like fashion shows and stuff. I'm more into like print, like commercials, so like doing photo shoots and stuff like that rather than runway. But modeling definitely like I feel like helps it just helps me, and like it just helps me show like kind of show people like, oh, this is what else I can do.
Mm.
So yeah.
It's kind of serves as like a more of a relatability thing, I think, for your fans too. Like they can like go through your Instagram and see all that and just be like, oh, that's really cool that she does that as well. So, but I'm glad to hear you have a lot of success with that, and that kind of makes you happy and everything. That's a great thing to have as well. Um,
Yeah. Yeah.
I was going to ask. I think you're independent, right? As far as your music goes, are you totally independent? Do you
Yeah.
have a manager at the time right now, or are you kind of just doing it all on your own?
So when I first started doing music back in September, I ended up being connected to someone who was my manager for some time. But then things happened. Like a lot was going on in their life, and they ended up having to stop managing me. So since January, I would say I've been pretty much on my own. I've been doing everything on my own. I do have people who help me, but I don't. As right now, I don't have like a
Mm.
manager.
So how different do you think that's been, kind of adjusting then to that, to kind of having more like responsibility with that?
Honestly, it can be kind of like hectic sometimes
Mm.
because I feel like I have to. I feel like there's so much I have to like keep. I have to like remind myself to update my website. I have to remind myself to do this. I have to remind myself to do that. Like I have to like do so much, and sometimes I do wish I could have like a manager or someone that could be like, oh, let me just help you, and I'll do all of that for you.
Mm.
But then again, too, it's made me like, it's helped me like teach myself on how to do certain things, like on how to create a website, on how to like release music, because that was like the one thing I didn't know
Mm.
before was how to like, how do you release music, and I figured that out on my own, and I figured out how to like, you know, edit my website and everything, and everything else that you have to do as a so it's me as a person, I don't really like to depend on people. But in this aspect, sometimes I kind of wish I had someone I could depend on. Not saying I don't have people that can help me with this kind of stuff, because I do, but it would be nice. It would be nice to have like, like I guess you could say like a manager, or that one person I could just go to.
Mm.
Can you just do this for me? Like I don't want to do it. No.
It's kind of interesting though, like just taking the good with the bad as well. Like it's kind of bad that you got to do a lot more, but at the same time you're learning the skills that are kind of going to help you as well. Just like you said about like the distributing your own music and things, and like now you know how to do that yourself, so you might not need that anymore. I don't know. Also, like I know you said you're just getting started, so like you never know. Like down the line, you might end up coming in contact with someone else that might want to be like your manager or something like that, or help you out in that way. Like, so it might have just
Right.
been, and like everything happens for a reason type deal. Like you never know what could happen down the line. So, but I think the most important thing for like what your situation is like you're learning new skills that are going to help you down the line, and you'll be able to come back to that. So it's definitely something I think a lot of people should think about, especially like with the manager thing, because a lot of people just kind of want to say they have a manager just to, you know, like a flex or something, just be like, I have a manager. Like, even though you might not need one at the time, like if your workload isn't that crazy, you might not need a manager. If you can do a lot on your own, you should probably do a lot that way. So,
Right.
um,
It's very
So,
true.
as far as being independent goes, how important do you think it is to have ownership of everything you've been doing, and kind of be able to have creative control over everything you've been doing so far?
Mm. I think it's very important because me as a person, I don't like when people control me. I
Mm.
don't like when people tell me what to do.
Yep.
And I know when it comes to like not being independent, like artists who are signed to record labels, they tend to come across people who try to tell them what to do, control them on certain things, own their music, whatever it may be. And so I, because of that, I mean, in all honesty, I would be open to being signed to a record label if it's like the right one and if I'm working with the right people.
Mm.
And for some people, like I've said that to some people before, and they're like, "Oh, but that may not happen because people always think like, oh, in the entertainment industry and music industry, like all there is bad people." But I really believe like whatever you put into the world, it comes back to you. And I feel like if I were to be one day signed to a record label, I feel like I would be, you know, working with people who have my best interest and who won't try to control me or try to tell me what to do when it comes to my music. They'll most likely give me advice on certain things and they won't try to own me. So I definitely believe as an artist, like it's very important, like to like own what you're putting out there, whether it's music, whatever you're doing, and to not let anyone control you, because I feel like I see that not even like when it comes to like being independent, but just in general. I feel like I've seen people always try to like own someone or control someone. My producer the other day was telling me how he's met other artists who like have like a producer that they always go to, and they see how that producer like acts like they own that artist, and like that artist can't work with anyone else. So it's I couldn't deal with that. So
And like how you said, like everyone in the music like industry, I don't think they're all bad either. Like there's definitely good people out there, and I think like to me, the best people are the people that are going to create opportunities for other people. That's really like, to me, like that's something I want to push, is like we should be like, you should always create opportunities for yourself and whatnot, but like if you have a chance to like, I don't know, make like an opportunity for someone else and help someone else like move in the right direction, then why wouldn't you want to do that? Like that's going to be like
exactly.
great for everybody. You're going to feel good because you just helped someone out, and they're going to be able to keep moving forward and doing great things. And like the kind of narrative that has been on every episode, because I've kind of asked this question every episode, is the same thing. It's like it's important to have the control, and that's like your job as an artist, is to be the creative, and like their job is really to kind of help you and fund you and believe in what you're doing and be all about what you're trying to do. So it should kind of just be a mutual like partnership and be beneficial for both sides at the end of the day, and be the right situation and not one-sided either way. You know what I mean? So it's definitely like important to just get the right situation. Like I think I've said it in like almost all the episodes now, is just understand why you're signing to a label or signing with certain people, and just kind of have an awareness of what they're going to do for you and vice versa, and you'll be all right, I think. So
Yeah, I
um,
definitely
yeah.
agree with that.
So we only got a couple more questions here. This is another question that I kind of go on every episode with, and it's, if you could go back 10 years to your past self and tell yourself anything, what do you think you would say to yourself?
Wow, 10 years. Hmm. I would tell myself, to stop pleasing people, to go after your dreams, find your purpose, and everything else will align. But just to always believe in yourself, and to stay firm in what you believe in, and continue to be a strong and independent person.
So if we could flip it then and go 10 years in the future, where do you think you want to be in your career and in your life in general?
10 years in the future, I really do, or I would say, I always like to speak this way, but I know that in 10 years I will be at the top of the music industry. When I say at the top, meaning I will be pretty much doing what Selena was supposed to do. I will be performing. I will have sold out tours. I will be connected to many, many people. I'll work alongside many people. I will be working alongside others regarding to like human trafficking, which is a passion of mine. Speaking to others about human trafficking and why you should be aware of it, and I will be like teaching others on what to do when it comes to chasing after their dreams and finding their purpose. And I pretty much will be a better version of myself in 10 years. The woman that I've always wanted to, I was always inspired to become.
Oh, great stuff to hear. That's very awesome. Where can fans find you on social media? I know you're on Instagram and everything. Are you on Twitter or any other social platform?
So I am on Instagram, of course. I am on Twitter. I am on Facebook. I have a Snapchat, on SoundCloud as well, and YouTube as well too.
Awesome. Do you have any final words of wisdom today for the listeners?
The one thing that I'll kind of just leave it off is just keep fighting for yourself. Keep fighting for your dreams. Don't let anyone stop you from chasing your dreams. Don't let anyone try to tell you that your dreams are not enough or that and that fire that's inside of you, just let it consume you, and just go at what you want to do in this life, because whatever you want, you can get it. As long as you are determined to do whatever it takes to go after what you want.
Well, Yelena, that's all I had today. I really appreciate you getting back with me as well again, and this was a great conversation. I really appreciate your honesty about your music, and I'm looking forward to seeing what you got coming up in modeling and activism and all the great things you're doing, and I wish you luck on everything you got going in your career.
Thank you so much, and thank you for having me. I really appreciate it. I'm super to be speaking with you, and thank you.
Feelings mutual, and hopefully we can do this again sometime.
Yes, of course. I would love to.
Hopefully when quarantine's over, I would hope. Hopefully it ends sometime.
It will. Yeah. I'm positive that it will.
Awesome. So, okay. We'll see you later. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Take care.
Thanks everyone for listening today. That was episode 10 of the Creator Series, and we'll be back this time next week. See you then.